All right, a very big welcome to you, my awesome viewers from all over the world. This is another great episode on The Truth with Ben Jokes, your trusted channel for politics undiluted. Now, TINUBU just agreed a deal with Brazil, and the deal is to allow for direct flights from Lagos to Sao Paulo, Brazil. Now, ordinarily, this is not a bad one. It's not a bad move. But the fact is, only 0.0001% of Nigerians would benefit from that. There are things that 90% of Nigerians would benefit from. You have neglected those ones. This government only cares about the elites. And this report here says most Nigerians can't afford to fly. TWIPS reacts to Lagos Sao Paulo Air Peace deal. Demand focus on security, economic relief. That is it. Do things that directly affects the people. Coastal road, Lagos to Sao Paulo, when Nigerians cannot move from Abuja to Kaduna under your watch. It is really a disaster, and there is nothing we can say that will change their minds. People like TINUBU believe they own Nigeria, and they don't think that the masses deserve anything. Even the little things we get from government, they see it as privilege. So it is left for Nigerians to wake up and take their country back, or forever remain slaves in their fatherland. Now, let us look at the top stories. First is that trending update of TINUBU openly lying to Brazilian ministers and investors that he has eliminated corruption in Nigeria, that his reforms are now working, and everywhere is clear for business to thrive. And Nigerians reacted by saying what? In this same country that we all are. And next is that big update coming out of the TINUBU cabinet. This is the most shocking update I have seen in recent times. Confusion has hit the TINUBU camp to the point that top members of TINUBU cabinet have publicly declared that TINUBU has killed the economy of Nigeria. They said he has sunk the economy into new debts, and that Nigerians are completely in trouble under this administration. Those were the words of top members of TINUBU's cabinet. I couldn't believe my ears and my eyes seeing such utterances from them. Before I show you details of these top stories and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you this video that shows that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar might end up completely disgracing himself if he doesn't allow ADC to zone to the south. Watch this video.
I
am very, very satisfied with the resolution because I am part and parcel of it, from the arrangement, from the strategy, and from the delivery. So it is an all-inclusive decision for us to have our neck in Ibadan, Oyo State on the 15th of November, and to have another neck on the 15th of October, and also to sustain the existing zoning formula within the party offices, and of course to zone the presidential office to the south, so that we can have some sanity, some understanding and unity. Well, I'm calling on Nigerians to know that politics is not about personal interests. It's about self-actualization within the framework of party decisions, party manifesto, and also national development. And that everything is predicated on sacrifice, not self-interest. And of course, we must always give allowance. We must live and let's live. We must respect each other. Of course, power comes from God. And so I'm always available. We are all available as governors, as NWC, as BOT, to work towards making sure that PDP is the darling of Nigerians, so that we can give the political space or allowances for everybody to come and actualize his or her aspirations.
You heard that. That was Governor of Bauchi State, Bala Muhammad, speaking there. We know that PDP is an unserious party at the moment, but that does not take anything away from what Governor Bala meant when he said they zoned the PDP presidential ticket to the south so that sanity can return to the party. So that sanity can return to the party. The key word there is sanity. It means zoning to the north or not zoning to the south is an insane thing to do in the present day Nigeria. It means every sane person knows that all parties ought to zone their presidential tickets to the south for 2027. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, you cannot be the only one who doesn't know this. Everyone who is sane knows this, and you are very sane, sir. We confirm that you are very sane. Therefore, you know this. Step aside, back Peter Obi, then return in 2031. There will be no rival against you. You contest every election year. Just step aside these ones and do the right thing. If Atiku runs, he thinks he will get all the northern support, but I fear that a month to the election, all the northerners will suddenly decide that for the unity of this country, a southerner should continue. And God forbid, if for any reason Peter Obi is not on the ballot, all of them will now go and vote for TINUBU. But I know that Peter Obi will definitely be on the ballot, and that is why I keep saying, just give me a free and fair election. Just give me a free and fair election and Obi will wipe the floor with anybody. Every single politician in this country right now is respecting the principle of zoning except Atiku and his camp. And Governor Bala Mohammed said there, he said politics is not about selfish interest. These are subtle messages to Atiku. Alhaji Atiku, think twice. If you back Obi, win or lose, you become a hero. But if you run, you risk being disgraced forever. Now, let us look at the top stories. First is that video of TINUBU openly lying to ministers and investors from Brazil that he has eradicated corruption in Nigeria and that everything is now good for business. And next is that big one coming out of the TINUBU cabinet. All of a sudden, key members of the cabinet have openly said that TINUBU has killed the economy of Nigeria. They said he has shrunk the economy and that the economy is in a big mess. Let's start by taking that video from Bart. See the video.
The reform that I've embarked upon since I took over in Nigeria has been very impactful. I can beat my chest for that. It was initially painful, but today the result is blossoming. It's getting clearer to the people. We have more money to the economy, no more corruption. We have the governor of Central Bank here. You don't have to know him before you get the foreign exchange that you need. The speculators are out in our currency market. The door is open for businesses. Easy in, easy out.
You heard that. TINUBU saying his reforms have now become clear to the people in terms of results. He said no more corruption and that everywhere is open for business. He was speaking to Brazilian investors and ministers there. First of all, I wonder what investors and ministers from Brazil are doing here in Nigeria. Is this how badly Brazil has fallen? No wonder they can no longer win the World Cup. Argentina's president is one of the top 5 best performing presidents in the world, and they are neighbors. Why not go there and do whatever you want to do? Well, maybe they have found a way to exploit Nigerians too. But if they really came here to do business and they cannot read all that the world is saying about Tinubu's failure and how foreign companies are running away from Nigeria daily, then let them come. At least they will employ some jobless Nigerians for some months before their businesses will pack up. The Nigerian environment is harsh for business. This is not pessimism or demarketing Nigeria. The environment is harsh for business because Tinubu has destroyed the purchasing power of Nigerians. Millions of SMEs have crashed in the last 2 years. So how can a population that cannot patronize local businesses enough for them to remain in business patronize foreign companies? Go and ask ShopRite. This is why multinationals have been folding and leaving Nigeria in mass for the last 2 years. And this tweet here says, why is he lying? Everything is on the internet. That is it. You can just go to the internet and read everything about Nigeria. And Gbemisola here says, Chineke God, this man can lie for Africa. Oh, and just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that, that big update from TINUBU cabinet began making the rounds. The head of National Bureau of Statistics, that is the Statistician General of the Federation, Mr. Semiu Adeyemi, and his other two directors are top members of this government. But I think they will lose their jobs after this report, because in this report, they completely tore this regime apart. Look at how the papers reported it. Tinubu's policy drastically shrank Nigeria's economy. NBS. Bola Tinubu's administration has sunk Nigeria's economy into new debts, bleeding the nation to a revenue to GDP of 2.6%, among the lowest globally. A rebased GDP report by the National Bureau of Statistics released in August stated, although the rebasing updated from the base year 2010 to 2019 showed that the nominal GDP rose from 269.3 trillion in 2010 to 364.6 trillion in 2024, the economy was performing worse in terms of dollar denomination. Despite the increase, Nigerians face the harsh reality of a currency whose value has eroded amid skyrocketing inflation. The NBS blamed the sluggish economy on Mr. Tinubu's naira depreciation policy, which obliterated its purchasing power among its international counterparts. A dollar exchanged for as high as 1,600 naira per Mr. Tinubu's free float, which he implemented days after assuming office in June 2023. In dollar terms, the economy has shrunk drastically from a peak of $636.7 billion in 2022 to $246.5 billion in 2024, driven by currency depreciation, stated the Bureau. Similarly, using a modest population growth rate of 2.5%, GDP per capita has collapsed from 2,914 US dollars to 1,036 US dollars over the same period, reflecting weaker purchasing power and lower welfare. The Bureau advised the government and citizens not to be deceived by robust statistical figures into complacency, but rather focus on accelerating revenue reforms in non-oil taxation and digital tax reforms, shifting from incremental budgets to performance-based allocations, and deepening financial intermediation through credit market reforms, stronger institutions, and capital market diversification to fund growth. You heard that. I think the head of NBS, Mr. Semiu Adeyemi, is simply tired of lying for this government. I don't think someone who still wants to keep his job will put this kind of report out to the public. But of course, this is the reality of the economy. He said per capita income, that is income of the nation divided by the population, fell from $2,914 to $1,036. That is why purchasing power has drastically collapsed. Then he said in dollar terms, economy crashed from $636.7 billion to $246.5 billion. And honestly, I am still in shock that a member of the cabinet of this government could put out this kind of report. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take a few tweet reactions. This tweet here says, business have all disappeared. Towns and cities are like ghosts. And this guy replied, he said, before 9 p.m., road don't dry for Port Harcourt. Places that used to be busy are now dry before 9 p.m. And then the poster replied, he said, it is nationwide, not only in Port Harcourt. And this guy confirmed, he said, true, ShopRite malls have become ghost town. That is it. And this tweet here says, he is just starting. If this is coming from his own NBS, imagine what the exact reality is. I gave a lift to at Al IRS GovNG, and he was lamenting how most of his colleagues are jumping out of the country like a frog dipped inside hot water. Everybody they collect. He's talking about a Lagos firm there. He gave a lift to one of their workers and he began telling him how people are deserting the country. And Oluwafemi here says, crippled economy. That is it. And Hayo says, heck, policies that were meant to fail from day one. The policies were definitely poorly thought out, and that is why they have failed drastically. And now there is heavy confusion within the cabinet. Some people have decided to start speaking up, to start saying the truth. At least let them live with their reputation intact. The head of the MBS, Mr. Semiu Adeyemi, must have said to himself that after working so hard to earn that reputation as a statistician, he cannot just mess it all up by lying to the nation, and he decided to put out the solid truth. Nigerians have seen it, and the only way out of this quagmire, as I've always said, is to come together and get the APC out of power. But until then, make I still enter town, make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una na I dey here. So don't go away. Don't go away.